You've been playing that wrong. This is another video in a series of videos on rules in Scythe that players often misinterpret playing correctly. This one deals with what happens when someone places their 6th star. So we're fairly late in the game here. And as you can see, my team, the yellow Crimea faction, has 5 stars. So one more star and that will trigger the end of the game. And on this turn, I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to move. Okay. Now, I haven't upgraded my move action, so I can move 2 of my units once, actually 2 spaces because I've unlocked speed. And so I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this mech and attack the Rusviet player here. And I'm also going to move this mech and I'm going to attack the Polonia player here. So one question you might have is, what happens when there are 2 combats? It's up to me, I'm the attacking player, it's up to me to decide which combat occurs first. And I've decided, for reasons that I'll explain in a little bit, I'm going to resolve this combat against Polonia first. So now we get our combat dials out and play our combat cards, and it turns out I beat Polonia in this combat. So the first thing that happens when you beat somebody in combat, right, is they go back to their home base. Too bad for Polonia. The second thing is, if I haven't already earned 2 combat achievements, and I have not, I get to place a star, indicating that I've won a combat. Now at this point, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 stars, which triggers the end of the game. But I still have an unresolved combat over here. What happens in that situation? In this situation, the 6th star immediately ends the game. No, this combat here is threatened, but it never actually takes place. We're going to have to do endgame scoring here, and we're going to have to see who controls what territories. So the second question is, who controls this territory since that combat hasn't been resolved? The rules specify that in the case in which the game ends and there's a combat on the board that has not yet been resolved, the attacking player simply moves back to the space that he or she came from, and that's it. Now the game is over, bottom row actions are not taken, no other player can take a turn, it's time for endgame scoring. Okay, now the strategy here, the reason I decided to resolve the combat with Polonia first is because if I had resolved this combat first and had won this combat, then I would own this territory, but I would have given up the factory. And another rule that people often forget about inside is that the factory is worth 3 territories for endgame scoring, which is why there are 3 little hexes noted on the top of that tile. So I would have lost quite a bit of points by moving from a very valuable territory to a less valuable territory, although I would have also, sent Rusviet away, which may have decreased their score to a point that I wanted their score to decrease to. But by resolving the Polonia combat first and only having to engage Rusviet if I needed to, if I didn't secure my extra star on the Polonia space, that made it so that I could hold on to the factory, also get my 6th combat star, or my 6th star, and we can tally up the end game, and I can tell you Crimea is going to win.